Okay, and then in 2007, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five became the first rap group to ever be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
How did that feel?
It didn't really, it didn't really have any real significance until years later, like like 3 years later, and then how people would approach me, because for anything else with the Grammys, okay, yeah, it was a good show, boo, boo, boo. But for years later, people would approach me and congratulate me on being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought when it first happened that it was just like something like, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is gonna try to get a come up off of hip hop, basically. And we didn't get in because of us. I'm thinking that we got in because of, the Jay-Z's. They want them in, but you have to start somewhere. You see what I'm saying? And the obvious choice was us, because of how long we was in the game and, the records that we put out and the caliber records it was. But I just thought that they were just going to, they just trying to capitalize off of hip hop. Not for us necessarily, but for everybody that they would want in after us, the Biggies and Jay-Z's and Eminem, you know what I mean? We was just, you have to start from somewhere. So they started with us. But then years later, I seen that it was, it was a lot of prestige in it, even though I didn't think, I didn't think they wanted Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They just wanted hip hop in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But at the end of the day, it's a great achievement.
Well, years later in 2016, when NWA was about to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Gene Simmons from Kiss basically said that rappers shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He said, when Led Zeppelin gets into the Rap Hall of Fame, then rappers should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. I mean, but that's his opinion, and and he's welcome to it. But music is music. I mean, and it all it's all in the same circle, because and especially with hip hop, hip hop is in all branches of music. Like how people, this is what people say about hip hop. This is one of the biggest misconceptions of hip hop. They say that anybody other than a black person that do hip hop is culturally misappropriating hip hop, when hip hop was the biggest cultural misappropriation of ever. We used everything, all musics. It was it's no hip hop music. It's hip hop music now. The origins of hip hop music is no hip hop music. So anything could be hip hop. So for hip hop to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and just like Run DMC didn't, it wasn't an original concept to do Aerosmith. We was doing Aerosmith from the gate. Bob James, anything. Bob Marley. We played slow jams in the clubs. We used anything that you could play in a party. We used it. So that's one of the biggest strengths of hip hop, that it could be anything. Anything could be hip hop. I could take a Madonna song and put a rap on it. It's hip hop.
Huh. So you're saying hip hop itself is a cultural vulture?
It's cultural misappropriation to the highest degree. Because we used everything. It wasn't like, okay, we just going to use funk music, but we ain't going to use jazz. Anything that had that little beat in it, we used it. The Mexican, that was like a Western song. We used it. Bongo Rock, which is one of the biggest hip hop songs ever. That's not a hip hop song. That was, I don't know what you would call it, the genre that it is, but it wasn't hip hop. We just said it was hip hop. So, for people, and that's for people that want to, they want to politicize what hip hop is. This culture, Bruno Mars is misappropriating the culture. No, hip hop is misappropriated culture. Hip hop is a vacuum. It sucked everything in. That's what hip hop really is.
Well, I mean, when you talk about people who get called a culture vulture, Macklemore is really at the top of the list, and he's the one that actually reached out to you to be in the song Downtown,
Right.
along with Cool Mo D and Grandmaster Caz.
Right.
No one else.
No. You see, in my opinion, what's going on right now in hip hop, and this is all African Americans, biggest culture vultures in the world. They sold hip hop out to the 100,000th degree. They sold it out because hip hop is bigger than the dude on the corner. It's way bigger than that. And then they just trying to make it so that hip hop is just some garden variety nigga shit. Like, you know, like, oh yeah, you ain't a real nigga unless you a street nigga. You know, that destroyed the culture. It ain't no more DJ, like the importance of a DJ. Like the DJ, they even promote it. Like a DJ, he's on some tough guy shit. You know, whereas it's supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be some of all of it, basically. Instead of just, okay, yeah, well, this is, you know, now this is what it's about. And the way it's working out is not working out all that great for hip hop. If you could even call some of it hip hop, because they said what it was when they first put it out. Gangster rap was gangster rap. They didn't say it was hip hop. It went in the pot to legitimize it. Trap music, they said what it was. Drill music, they said what it was. They said exactly what it was, and then they put it in the pot of hip hop to legitimize it. So now all of these dudes got a platform in hip hop, but you know who don't got a platform in hip hop? The real hip hoppers. They're like, yo, man, fuck them.